Hello and welcome to the MotorMotion E-Series Mercury Walch TCR Cup. And it is our pleasure to return here TrackSpot TV, bringing you the broadcasting and commentary today. Yet again, it's season 4, it's 2025. You're watching on the TrackSpot TV YouTube and the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube. And it is time to go to our first endurance series of the season. It is time for round 3, and we're heading to Bathurst. Of course, a massive thanks to the primary sponsor of the MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup, Mercury Walch, for all your commercial printing, digital printing, direct mail, label printing, large format printing, and packaging. They do everything. Head to www.mercurywalch.com.au. The calendar, round 1 and round 2 behind us, and Tokyo Expressway brought some seriously good racing for our viewing pleasure. Some really to-the-wire racing and some great photo finishes as well. Some really big points earned by a number of teams, and a couple of those teams are now starting to stand out as the leaders in the championship. Taking a look at the standings as they are going into round 3, it is Andrew Scott on top for Cooke, followed by Ryan Spann. Then Scott Taylor for Gridline Racing, Mark Pacheco following him closely, and Campbell Knowles for Team 55, 84 points equal with Gridline Racing's Mark Pacheco. Nick Pfaff rounding out the top 6 in the driver's standings, and lots to play for in the endurance round because it is double points today. No double points for top 3 finishes for the same team. However, those double points are going to be massive. Cooke still on top with 200 points to their name, currently 180 for Gridline Racing, hot on their heels. That is not a big gap, as we are only a small amount into this 10-round season. Lightning Motorsport on 158 points, 6 points ahead of 4th place. Asta Racing, then Team 55 in 5th place on 150 points. A lot of 5s in that row that you're seeing right now. And then 6th place, it is Team Capital on 140 points. It's all to play for. This round is going to be absolutely key, and we are at the legendary Bathurst. This is going to be quite a round. Let's go and meet the commentary team for today's race. And back in the commentary box today, it is myself, George Cooke here, and I'm going to be joined by the man who returned to TCR Cup. We missed him for round 1. He was here for round 2. Tokyo Expressway, truly a place that we have been a number of times. It is Nick Pautasso joining me back here in the commentary box for round 3. Welcome in. We're on holy ground. It's the hill, it's the mountain, it's skyline, it's the dipper, it's forest, it's the chase. This is where TCR comes alive.
Hey George, g'day viewers. Yes, welcome to Mount Panorama Bathurst, and it all starts with hell when you go through turn 1 at Hell Corner, up Mountain Straight towards up the hills, up the horizon, and then down the hill plummeting for this 6.213 kilometre circuit that we call home here in Australia, Mount Panorama Bathurst, just over 3 hours away west of Sydney or wherever you're coming from. It is a spectacle. It is a public road as well, so drivers and fans and normal road users can just jump around, can go on this track and enjoy the spectacular scenery that we have here at Bathurst. So it's a fantastic track. It's a great place to be awarding double points because it is for the brave, it is for the ones that are committed. And as we said, George, it's Mount Panorama, it's Bathurst. Everyone knows about it here on Grand Tours, especially with our MotorMotion E-Series. So I'm excited and I'm keen to get going for this series and for this race.
It's going to be a good one, of course, one of 2 endurance rounds, and we're going to have another round later on. So today we've decided we're going to focus in on Lobby 1. We've got a 90-minute race here today. All 3 tyre compounds are mandatory. Hards, mediums and softs must be used today. And of course your setup is going to be absolutely key. Will you be flat around Frog Hollow and through the top of the hill, or will you be lifting? That is going to be the key question. How much speed do you hold through and down the chase, up Mountain Straight, down towards that chase braking zone? It's going to be very, very exciting. Let's take a look at the qualifying results for Lobby 1. And it is Ryan Spann for Cooke on top with a 2-minute 12.027. That is a fantastically quick time, and he's 3/10 clear of Luke Stone for Team Capital. Nick Pfaff bringing it in there on the second row of the grid. Asta Racing a 2:12.425. And Graham Splint for CP Motorsports. He's quick around here We've seen this man race around here before, and he is showing some speed today, speed that he hasn't given us necessarily through Autopolis and in Tokyo Expressway. So great to see the CP Motorsports team making it up. 4 people in 4 different teams on the top row of the grid, Nick, and a notable name missing here from the Me Cougar drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, unfortunately, we're going to be one Me Cougar driver short, and that is because Ando Scott, the championship leader, has not been able to make it on time to get to the track to get to his console and participate in the race here for round 3 at Mount Panorama. So it's only going to be only be Ryan Spann that's going to be bearing the flag for Me Cougar Drive Development. But that is a very nice lap time that he did there, 2 minute 12 flat. And like you said there, great audible mention for Graham Splint. Strong performance there. Obviously, looks like CP Motorsports have been working in the background since the previous 2 rounds weren't up to the standards, I would say, for a high caliber team that is CP Motorsports. But over the weeks, tuning the car up, and as you mentioned, Graham Splint is a handy steerer around here. Put the car in P4 is a fantastic result, and hopefully he'll be able to maintain that throughout the race.
Exactly right, and it's a tricky race that we're going to be going into today. 90 minutes, no easy task at this place, and of course managing the tires. Your mediums are going to be very, very important. Your hards are going to be very, very important. But how's that offset and speed? How's that offset and grip? These are all the questions that these teams and drivers are wrestling with for a round like this. We came off Tokyo Expressway, where it was absolutely key that you drop the aero as much at the front, as much as possible across the whole car, tilt it down ever so slightly, and then before that, Autopolis, where you had a totally different configuration required in the setup of the car with the camber, basically putting the wheel on skates. Here, it's going to be an interesting combination. I think we're going to see the use of that low downforce is going to be very, very important for the straights. But then how are they going to manage these cars? Those rear ends, Nick, we saw this last time out, they get cold and you lose massive amounts of grip. Well, the rears are where you get all your grip coming down the hill.
Yeah, definitely. So, and what we saw back at Autopolis in round 1, I can imagine that drivers are now going to be looking at the rear of their car and thinking, the thing of just one simple word, George: camber, camber, camber. Just try to get that toe out as much as you can. Get the cambers of the rear of the car sticking out, just to try and hook it in through the corners, like we've got with the cutting through Reed Park, through Solomon Park, where we're going down towards the Great and up towards McPhillamy. Those have like covered some of the key corners, because from the cutting all the way up to McPhillamy, you're looking to keep that car flat as possible. You don't want to do any lifting at all. You want to keep that foot on the pedal as hard as you can, and just try and rely on the car's balance, because a high downforce cast, while it might be very good, it's going to impact you going down and going up the hill. So we're looking at around about a low to medium, I would say, that downforce levels with our Honda Civics here tonight.
Cool. Some hot takes. I think Ryan Spann's going to be absolutely on fire. I think he'll start on softs, try and break away. What's your hot take?
I think you're just going to keep an eye out on Nick Faffey. I think the reigning champion has had some good performances here at Mount Panorama in the previous TCR Cup championships in previous seasons. I think he's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. So he's a reigning champ for a reason, George. And here at Mount Panorama, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. That's the word. Right, cars are ready to get started. It's going to be a rolling start today. We'll see you down on the tarmac. Here we go. So, Spanny. Ryan Spann will lead us away. He'll go through final corner before heading across the line. We can hear the countdown happening in the background. And here we go. Green flag racing. 90 minutes of racing at the legendary Mount Panorama starts here in the first corner. So important to get a good run out of Hell Corner and up the mountain straight. Really does help you to secure a good start. And it has been a decent launch off the line there for Ryan Spann. But Luke Stone has been absolutely rapid through Hell Corner already. So slight bit of pressure for the number 119 car at the beginning of this race. Luke Stone will be putting him under as much pressure as possible. Doesn't want to see the Me Cougar car drive away into the distance like we've seen it in races past. Down to Griffins for the first time. No grip on the outside. Tuck the car onto the inside. Run out wide if you need to. In the background, nothing major going on at the moment, but Graham Splint has made some good progress on Nick Pfaff in the early part of this race. So Team Capital and Asta are already under a little bit of pressure. One applying pressure to the leader, one having a pressure applied to him from behind, and that is Blue Dog, of course, down there. In P4 currently, he's got Chris Farapapa just behind him. So Motorsport 32 wants a piece of this action as we head through the top of the hill. Fantastic stuff. These cars are going absolutely rapid through this part, and the key thing now is going to be how do these cars handle their first lap. Cold tyres, down the hill we go and through Skyline. Now the dipper. Looks like everyone's gotten through there so far just okay. A little bit of a squirm for Nick Pfaff, but he gets the car right back into line. Now this downhill braking zone. This is so much fun here at Forest Elbow. True motorsport people love to drive at this location, and that looks to be a decent opening for most of the cars around the grid. A real mix of tyre compounds there though. Pfaff's on hards, Blue Dog's on softs, and Motorsport 32, he's on the medium tyre.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a great start from everyone. No major incidents so far recorded by all of our drivers here tonight, as we saw with Ryan Spann on the soft tyres, like you called early in the race before the race commencing, George. He said he's on the racing soft tyres, so he's looking to break away as quickly as he can. Nick Pfaff getting all of the pressure from Gray and Splint right behind there, but now we can see why he's on the hard tyres. So he's getting rid of that really durable tyre that is racing hard out of the way, so that way that he can have a nice fast finish towards the end of this race. It is 90 minutes and we are 2 minutes 20 down into this race and a long way to go, but it is Ryan Spann, Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, our top three, as they go up towards the mountain straight. But a nice run there by Blue Dog. That's what the grip does for you. So he's going to try and see if he can get around the outside. The onboard action shows that the CP Motorsports is pulling very well, and it's got some really good strong straight line speed, but the Astacar is really tucking in onto the side draft. They're going to try and go side by side going into Griffin's corner. Who brakes later? It's quite even braking there. A bit of a squeeze between the two drivers. Contact made, and Graham Splint loses all momentum, which is going to allow Motorsport 32 right behind to probably stick the nose in up at the cutting there. Has to defend Graham Splint. So, but for a moment there, was only a temporary P3, but still holds on to P4 with Motorsport 32 right behind. But Nick Pfaff doing all he can to try and keep that third place ahead of Graham Splint on those hard tyres.
We actually had two CP Motorsports cars try and overtake their Asta equivalents through Griffin's Bend, both on the outside line as well. I said already, we all know there's no grip there. This is really in and out stuff though for Blue Dog. Graham Splint trying everything he can, every single direction he can to try and find a way to get past Nick Pfaff, but Pfaff is holding strong at the moment, needs to do so. He'll have to cover off the inside line into Forest Elbow, doesn't do so, wants to open up that straight and sort of limit the amount of slipstream that the CP Motorsports car will get. Very sensible driving from Nick Pfaff at this early stage of the race, and I do have to report as well, Ryan Spann is starting to run away with things at the top of the field. Didn't catch what sire Luke Stone is on at this stage, but he's probably not on the softs. Here we go. The inside lunge is now happening. Graham Splint wants it, but he's going to be on the outside line of the braking zone, so it means it's going to be easy to defend. They come together at the corner, and it's another lunge for the Astacar. Nick Pfaff drives themselves both off the track. He's defended hard, far too hard. He actually retains the position, but both of them taken out as a result, and that, I'm sure of it, will be a trip over to the steward's office. Look at the positions that Graham Splint is losing now. He's coming into contact with a Joinson, who's made it up from a number of positions below, and Attard, really the winner, as well as Chris Farapapa, up into third place now. They're side by side through Hell Corner. Matthew Joinson wants a piece of the action. He has got racing soft tyres on as well, so he's got the grip, and he's got Nick Pfaff right ahead of him. He'll be able to make an overtaking opportunity out of this one. I'm absolutely sure of it, but it's outside line again, Nick.
Yeah, it was a bit of a head of the moment there for Nick Pfaff. He went around the outside, but he completely forgot. He must have completely forgotten that he was on the hard tyres, and he could not match the braking performance of the soft tyres for Graham Splint. So very unfortunate there. A little bit of a controversial moment of what's going to be happening post-race, or if anything is going to be happening. Graham Splint trying to show the nose on Nick Pfaff, just trying to say to him, I do not appreciate what you did there back at the chase, and I want to try and see if I can get that position off you. It'll be very interesting to see what Nick Pfaff does, if he actually is going to let him go on the end of this lap and know that he's in the fault there. But Blue Dog has got into the wall, and he's picked up damage as well. Front splitter and front left suspension. So his day goes from bad to worse, potentially fighting for P3, and gets taken off at the chase, and now with a damaged car, George.
Oh dear. Not what you want to see early on in an endurance race. However, still a long way to go. Aussie Heat made some progress initially here. He's got Spark just behind him. Not quite sure who that is. They're in the Mi Cougar 24 car at this stage. So we do have a replacement coming in for Ando, which is good to see. It looks like Richard. So we'll try and look up the name for that one. Aussie Heat does make it on past. And we got Hodges in P10, followed by Dub Zito in P11. And that is Ryan Spann with the fastest lap of this race. Lots going on around here, but the racing soft tyres and the execution for Ryan Spann looking as strong as it was back in Autopolis. And of course, in Tokyo Expressway last time out, where he absolutely deserved a win. And yeah, by all accounts, he absolutely got it after Ando made a mistake at turn 12. Which gave him that win. So Luke Stone on racing soft tyres as well. So this isn't a tyre gap. This is either a strategy gap with one or the other trying to save a bit of tyres, possibly Luke Stone trying to do so, or it's just sheer pace.
2 minute 12.9 as the fastest lap for Luke Stone, with Ryan Spann setting his last lap at 2 minute 12.5. So he's only gone 8/10 quicker on that previous lap compared to Luke Stone. So maybe a small mistake there at the top of the hill for Luke Stone, and that's why he's dropped a little bit of time to Spanny up in P1. But we have Graham Splint with that damage. He's not coming into the pit lane. And I'm actually very surprised. Sorry about that. I'm very surprised why he actually didn't come into the pit lane. It is a 90-minute enduro as well, George, so you have plenty of time. But at the same time, damaging a car and you're on the soft tires as well, it can really ruin the strategy for this long endurance.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think the tap that he had was just up here, coming through up the hill through Quarry. I may not be feeling too much damage on that car right now. It is glowing, so we do have some sort of damage that's occurred, but whether or not it's that serious is going to be the question. I mean, by all accounts, he doesn't seem to have lost a lot of aero. The car doesn't seem to be understeering at this stage. We'll see through the right-hander here. Seems to be pretty stable in that CP Motorsports car. I don't think he's necessarily damaged it enough to really justify a pit stop at the 8-minute mark, but I mean, this is going to be a change to strategy regardless, and it's something that these drivers are going to have to work with throughout this race. As he said before, I mean, we've seen a lot of races that could be. He's actually just tapped the wall again with the opposite side of the tyre. They'll have another go now at Nick Pfaff. We've seen a lot of drivers favour the 2-stop over the 1-stop. You know, the 1-stops are possible, but you're losing so much time as a result of it that the 2-stop just becomes the only real option. So a 4-stop here, you only got 3 mandatory tyres, but a 4-stop strategy or 5-stop strategy isn't necessarily slower.
No, absolutely. So as you can see, he just gets loose on the curb there. It's just the tyre that's not really working for him. The damage front left of the car really not hooking onto the curbing there. But you're completely right there. Like, obviously, a change of strategy is one thing, but if you're sticking to the back end of Nick Pfaff, who is potentially going to start closing up on towards Matthew Johnson as his tyre starts to die out, it's actually a very good thing, because what you can do and what Graham Splint can do here, you can actually start to save a bit of fuel, because you can also see when we jump on board with Graham Splint very soon, you'll be able to see the steering angles that he's got on the car. You can see that he's left hand down, so you can see the steering wheel is pointing towards left, obviously due to the damage of the car. So it's not pointing straight, but he is keeping in with the toes. So the car must be set up very nicely to be a slippery car on the straights and through the uphill section of here at Mount Panorama. So he's actually doing a really solid job here, and he's not being caught by his teammate Aussie Heat right behind us. He runs wide of the cutting, gets a nice sharp exit on the exit of the cutting. So that's actually very impressive there for Graham Splint to get a nice exit. But yeah, even his teammate right behind is not really keeping up with his teammate in Graham Splint. So he's doing a really good job to hold on to Nick Pfaff's rear bumper coming up towards through Solomon Park. It looks very unstable there, and through McPhillamy, a little bit of an understeer moment there through McPhillamy, and now down to Brocky's Skyline here. It's a very fun section of the track here. I really love this part. Then coming through the dipper, cut as much as you can, and just be careful that the wall sticks out on the left and on the left hand side here, and on this right side here. Get the braking wrong, the rear end starts to chirp so much, and you lose all the aero, and the car just spins 360 on you. It has happened on a couple of occasions on the Gran Turismo 7 platform, and it also does happen in the real world. So great to see there's some great car control for Graham Splint, but yeah, he is losing time to Nick Pfaff on this lap, but at the same time, he's also losing time to the rest of the field.
Well, another interesting thing is he's actually got his teammate Aussie Heat starting to make a bit of progress, and it may be here that he might be able to launch himself past Nick Pfaff while Aussie Heat has a turn at trying to crack the position change with Nick Pfaff for 5th place. So it's entirely possible that that's going to be the case, but I have to admit, watching that onboard, he is really overdriving the car. I mean, you see the angle used in some of the corners was extreme. Here we go, as an overtake at the top and through Hell Corner, and a little bit of contact between Chris Farapapa and Matthew Joinson. Joinson's got the position at the moment, but that inside line is paramount, ironically, yes, but inside line into Griffin's Bend is how you retain a position. It's how you make an overtake. Looks like that Matthew Joinson has got just a little bit of extra speed there. Will there be a lunge from Chris Farapapa? No. Decides better of that one, and rightly so. You don't want to fight too much in these endurance circumstances. Working together, Nick, is more important than ever.
Well, absolutely. You have to remember as well, we saw a very slippery car with the Yugen Global back at Tokyo Expressway. So I'm thinking that what Matthew Johnson's been able to set up on his Honda Civic Yugen Global entry 777, he's actually, I wonder if he's actually managed to keep the same gearbox and the same aero package, because the car is lightning fast on that straight there. He actually cleared past Farapapa in position 4 to move up into position 3 on Mountain Straight, and he's actually clearing up a bit. But if you look at where Ryan Spann and Luke Stone are, they have gone. They have absolutely bolted away, as we saw all the battles from P3 downwards, which included the likes of Nick Pfaff and Graham Splint. That really held up a massive gaggle of cars, and that's what really happens with the consequence of a car running deep at the chase, and also at the same time getting all that congestion through the final corner at Murray's and then up through to Hell Corner. But we see Graham Splint there, much better performance on this lap to try and tuck underneath that rear wing of Nick Pfaff. Can he get the move done and get it done nice and cleanly, unlike the previous lap on lap 1 of lap 2 of the start of the race here? No, sticks right behind there. But some great racing overall on so far lap 6 completed, George, and we've seen some really awesome, great battles here, as we see Graham Splint now finally conceding that the time is up to fix the car, and he's coming to the pits.
Yep, sensible move at the end of the day, and he's going to have to be aware that the hard tyres here for Nick Pfaff and the holding up that's been happening. And Nick Pfaff, yes, he's lost a few positions. Yes, he made that mistake into the chase and caused a rather nasty collision. At the end of the day, he has done very well to hold up as many competitors as possible. The field, yes, is spreading out as well, but again, Nick Pfaff not done too badly at the start of this race. And obviously for Graham Splint, he was really overdriving the car quite a lot. That's what we saw as we were in the onboard. You see at this point, really, the sensible thing is to get those new fresh tyres on. It is to get yourself a nice full tank of fuel. And I guess that's the strategy that TP Motorsports have in mind for him at the moment. It's just going to be go hard, go fast, and try and really launch past it, as we see Matthew Joinson. He's cooked it into the barrier massively there. Nearly ping-ponged off the other side of the road, too, for good measure. Boy, oh boy, now that was much bigger than the incident we saw Graham Splint has. So I think this car's going to be in a lot of trouble now. Let's keep an eye on him. Down the hill we go, holding damage as you head through that right-hander, then the left-hander. Will there be enough grip? There is at the moment. Oh, I don't know. That's probably going to cue a bit of a pit stop or two.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see on the fuel tank as well, he's not far off from coming into the pit lane. He hasn't hit the 10% mark where the fuel light is flashing red. So I wonder if he's going to try and stick it out. He's got a good gap to Farapapa as well, and Nick Pfaff. So I think he might be able to get away with if he tries to go for one more lap. But I think the sensible thing, as most drivers would do, you get damage, you come into the pit lane straight away. And we are quite deep into the race as well, unlike what we saw on lap 2 with Graham Splint. So lap 7 with a low fuel tank, I think it might be the sensible decision to come into the pits, but we'll wait and see as we see the first move amongst the top 3. Luke Stone has now come into the pit lane. as he's about to stay out of the pit lane. Farapapa, no, he stays out on tracks. He's going to go for one more lap. Holds the inside line on Nick Pfaff there, so a bit of a surprise there, being caught out by the Aston Motorsports reigning champion. They're going side by side along the pit straight and up towards Hell, up through Hell Corner. This is good. This has turned out to be a bit of a spicy race. I mean, racing mediums versus racing hards. I wonder if Nick Pfaff is just deciding, you know what, let's go for it. Put the hammer down. Let's use these hard tyres because we're not going to touch him anymore. And let's try and get a move done. And he's tucked underneath that rear wing of the Lightning Motorsports down the inside as they go up towards Griffin's Bend. Is he able to get enough braking performance on the Aston's Honda Civic? Down the inside he goes, and a nice clean move there by the reigning champion. Runs wide, which gives Farapapa a bit of an opportunity for a switchback, and he has got that position done. But can Nick Pfaff hold on to the inside? No, he tucks right back in there. So again, that's two moves in this first stint, George, where it hasn't stick. The one at the chase and here at Griffin's Bend.
Yep, that's right. He's just not able to get the speed bled off that car. He taps the brakes and tries to go for it, lifts them off, and the car's still moving massively too fast to actually make the apex. And so for the second time, this time it didn't result in an accident. You can see how much quicker, though, he is through the top of the hill. As we come down, it'll be single file until we get down to the bottom on Forest Elbow, where he may attempt to make another move. And yeah, it is medium tires on Chris Farapapa, but I think he's fuel saving at the moment. I think he's trying to extend the stint. He's trying to run to a number. Nick Pfaff's fuel is going to run out, and they're probably going to end up pitting at a similar time, but you can see already red on Nick Pfaff's car right now. Good exit for Chris Farapapa, but if he's not using the full, yeah, he's short shifting. You can see that. I don't know if you just caught that there, but 4 to 5, 5 to 6, he's barely using any revs in that car, so he is short shifting to try and extend this stint and his fuel as much as possible. Inside a tip here, this race, the races in TCR really fundamentally are about fuel saving. The cost of fuel is very expensive, and Chris Farapapa doesn't want to fight that at all. So let's Nick Pfaff go on by. Chris might have enough to go for another lap, but I'm absolutely positive Nick Pfaff will be in. He is, so it's not necessarily about another lap. It's about how much time you spend sitting in that pit lane. Our leaders are in. Matthew Joynton's in, all on 5 litres of fuel, 8 litres of fuel. He's gained a second already, so he's got the position back, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key move there for Farapapa to actually have more fuel in the car. Spark has come in with 6% as well. So, and then you can see there Shane Addard on an empty tank of fuel. So that is a difference of a couple of seconds for Shane Addard for his battle with Hogs in 97 down in position 7s. But Ryan Spann in the pits, full tank of fuel. Let's see what tyres he goes on, but everyone is getting their service now. Lap 8 seems to be the critical number, George, so we'll be able to see how the rest of the stint goes. We'll be able to get another 8-9 laps on their set of tyres before that final dash for the last few minutes.
Here we go, leader is Ryan Spann. He comes out of the pits. He's using racing softs again. Luke Stone behind him has jumped onto the racing hard. He pitted a lap previously, so that's worked out nicely for Ryan Spann. The gap is definitely a bit smaller, and the racing hards will certainly last quite nicely, but the fuel is the limitation yet again, and this is a fuel deficit that Luke Stone's running at the moment. Full tank of fuel for Ryan Spann. He's saved enough to stay out for another lap and a bit. Luke Stone had to come in a little bit earlier. He was on 11% of fuel, and clearly went to full fuel as well, and he's made up a little bit of time, but he's running a fuel deficit in terms of the overall strategy right now, and Spann will be able to go for at least another 8 laps, and he's on the racing soft tyre, so he will have the grip advantage as well. So Ryan Spann definitely going for this at least 2 or 3 stints on the racing softs. What we've seen the faster teams do so far, it's been 2 soft stints and a medium short stint. That was particularly evident when we were at Tokyo, and the 4-lap medium stint was absolutely pinnacle of the strategy, and those who got into good position were the ones executing that. So we'll see, there's going to be a lot of different philosophies in this race, and it'll also be dependent on how you set up the car as well, but I can see that Ryan Spann's already got those tyres into a window. He's already pulling ahead, and that is a good bit of strategy execution from our leader. Behind here in 3rd place, hard tyres for Chris Farapapa, and he is ahead. He's regained the position. That's the benefit of saving fuel right there. Behind him, though, racing soft tyres for Graham Splint, who pitted earlier than everyone else, except for Luke Stone, pitted at about the same time. So he's got a tyre deficit at the moment, fuel deficit, but he's in the position to retake and move up into 3rd place. The question is, Will he be going fast enough to neutralize the fact that he had to stop and get repairs? And will this be another deja vu moment for him? He goes side by side with the car yet again and into the braking zone. Pautasso is fighting this one, but can't do anything on the apex.
Nice racing, good spatial awareness there between Pautasso and Graham Splint there to go side by side through the fastest corner on the track, through the kink, down the chase, and into the corner and around the outside. Well, nice move there for Graham Splint, but this is a very good redeeming drive there. Good undercut strategy working for Graham Splint as well. He obviously knew that with the damage on the car, all you have to do straight away, if you want to get your track position back, you have to go for the fastest compound of tires. You have to go back on the softs. You just got to keep working on that strategy as well, George. You just if you know you're down, you have to fix the car up and repair the damage. The best option for you to do is actually jump on soft tires again. You want to just be setting fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap and get yourself back into a position where towards the end of the race, it may hamper you, but track position early on, and we're only 21 minutes into this race, just about to hit 22 minutes in this 90-minute enduro. This could be a very crucial moment of the race. I'm now in P3 and pulling clear away from Pautasso in P4.
Oh, and there's a move. Graham Splint has found his way past already. Looks like he did that into the cutting. And that is a very, very difficult place to overtake, but he's launched it. He's sent it properly again, and I think there might have just been a bit of defending. It wasn't an overtake, it was defending, because Chris Pautasso was actually the one who was attacking in that case. Now look who is joining the party. It is Matthew Joinson, so Jürgen Global wants to get in on this, racing medium tyres for him.
Surely not.
Oh, he had to think about it though, didn't he? He really had a crack at that one, but sensibly backed out of it, because if you overtake into Skyline on the inside line, you are sending many people to hospital.
Wow, that literally just got me on my toes there, George. I was a little bit worried what's going to happen with Matthew Joyson's decision making there at the cut through Skyline. We know in any forms of racing you do not go for a move at Skyline at all. We saw that in this year's Real World 12 Hour. There was a couple of incidents down towards the Skyline where there was trying to lap the GT4, lap the GT3s, lapping the GT4 lap traffic. And that was a scary moment as well in the real world. So don't try it in the real world. Don't try it in the sim world as well, George. Let's just stick to single file racing, because from the cutting down to Forest Elbow, it's all single file. So no ambitious moves here. Even though the cars are smaller and they are more or less, they are more likely, they are pretty much raceable cars, but no silly moves.
Oh, here we go. So it was a little bit of a slow apex there for Chris Pautasso, but Graham Splint managed to get the car sideways through the final corner of the race, through Murray's corner. Now Matthew Joinson finds himself under a lot of pressure from Nick Pfaff, who's back out on the track as well after doing his pit stop, and on the medium tyres. So he's quick on the hards. He's going to be even quicker on the medium tyres. And look at these guys. They are line astern, 3 in a row, and it's going to be a real scrap as we head through Mountain Straight now into technically what's called Turn 2, known as Griffin's Bend, and that's going to be a lunge down the inside. Nick Pfaff is bold and brave today, and he's made another one work. Matthew Joinson can't do anything about that. He might launch a counter-attack as we head into the cutting, but he's too far back to really justify a lunge, and that's Graham Splint having all sorts of problems at the moment. He's picked up even more damage. The racing soft's not going well. It's deja vu, and Graham Splint is about to become the plug in this bathtub of an exciting bit of battling going on just behind them. I don't think I'd like to be any of these drivers in this situation right now. How terrifying.
Oh, and that is absolutely the worst thing that can happen. They fixed the left-hand side of the car, and now the right-hand side of the car is damaged, and that's the same compound of tyres as well, George, both happening roughly around about the same point within their stints of picking up damage. So I feel bad for what's happened to Graham Splint there. Running such a good race there, and he's gone deep at Forest Elbow as well. Almost collected the tyre barrier on the exit. The camera didn't pick it up, but he almost went very deep there. But look at this gaggle of cars. Pautasso, Nick Pfaff, and Matthew Joinson, 4th, 5th, and 6th. This is going to be one fast train. All aboard the Pautasso Express here at Lightning Motorsports. Asta Racing is coming on board, and he's going to try and get around towards the inside. Try hug the inside as much as you can. Get late on the brakes on Pautasso. Can he actually outbrake him and go for an outside move there? He's gone later on the brakes there. Papa holds it, but Nick Pfaff around the outside. Matthew Joyson is going to join them as well to try and go for an outside move here at Murray's corner, potentially. Papa goes defensive. He's going to try hold it around the outside. There's a likely chance that he could do it. And he's also going side by side, and he's made the move. So that's Papa down 2 positions in a span of a couple of corners with 2 drivers going around the outside. Nick Pfaff up into P4, Matthew Johnson up into P5, and the loser out of all of this is Papa, who was challenging for P3 and looking to take away Graham Splint's P3 with that damage on the front right of his car.
Massive. I thought that was going to come to blows. Papa, of course, with the tyre disadvantages on the hard tyres at the moment. 2 medium runners ahead of him in Pfaff and Joinson. And then, of course, yes, this damaged CP Motorsports car up ahead did do a bit to pull away, but probably mostly as a result of Chris Papa not really having the pace on the hard tyre for this stint. Of course, he will come back. He'll have more pace once he switch on to a better compound of tyres. And I don't think this battle is quite over just yet, because Nick Pfaff, who's been a pretty bold overtaker, a lot of optimistic moves, let's call it that, whether defensive or offensive, is now coming for the blue car right ahead of him. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be Graham Splint right now. Wouldn't want to be one of his engineers either, looking at both sides of the car thinking, crikey, what part are you going to damage next? Is it going to be the front, the back, the top, the underbody? What's it going to be? So Graham Splint's got a little bit of tidy up work to do. He's qualified 4th in this race, now finds himself in 3rd. On a slightly alternative strategy, his teammate Aussie Heat came in on just a moment ago. Oh dear, every single time there's an opportunity to add more damage to the list, he seems to be taking it. Well, I shouldn't say that, because you can bin at 90 degrees into the wall down the dipper. But nonetheless, he's taken a few of these opportunities, and this is just going to hamper him again. He's got a bad run out of Forest Elbow. And this will be easy as you like for Nick Pfaff. Don't need to worry about whether there's going to be any fight back here. There won't be from the CP Motorsports car, unless there's an awfully horrendous lunge, which there isn't. And yeah, these two starting to form a bit of a rivalry in the TCR Cup Season 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if Graham Splint's going to come into the pit lane now. Yeah, he does, actually. So that's a very wise move there again. But again, just that's 2 stints in a row where he's picked up damage there, George. So very, very unlucky for Graham Splint. I feel like as well, there's a little bit of pressure on him because he's up in a position where he's not familiar with inside that top 5. So I feel like racing against some of the fast drivers here that we have on offer at MotorMotion E-Series for our 4th season of the Mercury Walch TCR Cup, that we've got drivers like Ryan Spann leading the race, Luke Stone in P2, Nick Pfaff, the reigning champion, Matthew Johnson, a veteran of the MotorMotion E-Series family, and him to be right in that middle of the pack there, I have to give him some credit for it. He's done a really good job there. He's held his own, but unfortunately, being that pressure, like being inside that top 5, does come with consequences, and overstepping the mark, trying to race drivers that you're not familiar with, and just trying to outdo yourself, just overthinking yourself, overthinking your braking markers, and overthinking how you take that corner. And unfortunately for Nick Pfaff, that's happened on 2 occasions for him. So hopefully in this next stint, if he's back inside that top 5 and he's back battling Nick Pfaff and Matthew Johnson, hopefully 3rd time's the charm for Graham Splint to have a clean car.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's one of those things, the pressure. I mean, you can be quick in qualifying and be familiar with the track, but you know, one of the key aspects of racing is understanding how other people are going to be racing around you. And yeah, I can tell you from personal experience, I'm sure you can tell everyone from personal experience as well, when you get that first really good qualifying result and you suddenly find yourself racing against people who you used to think, oh yeah, well, you know, they're aliens, they do all this absolutely amazing pace and there's no way I could race against them. Suddenly you find yourself racing against them. It's a whole different ball game. You don't know whether you're going to be defending, and then the psychological pressure, the gleam in your eye of seeing people who are typically miles down the road from you, right ahead of you, can lead to some pretty impressive mistakes on occasion. So maybe Graham Splint's just suffering from a little bit of that today. We'll see. Either way, they're still in a good position in this race. And if he can really just dial in and reduce those mistakes, he's still in a fantastic position. And this will be, even as it stands right now, it'll be one of CP Motorsport's best results this season thus far. It's Roberts, by the way, number 24 car, the replacement for Andrew Scott in the Me Cougar outfit. Not a name that I'm linking up correctly to a first name, but I feel like we've had a Roberts here or there before, but good to see that Ando has found that replacement. Running in 6th at the moment, not too bad. Second stint on the softs. We have just lost Nick for a moment or two there, but we will be back in a few moments' time. In the meantime, let's go through the rest of the grid. Racing mediums for Dabzito. He is making some progress for the Lightning Motorsport outfit. In 7th place at the moment. Then it's Hogues. So a decent amount of work by him so far this race. Hogan, of course, it's going to be one of the drivers we keep an eye on for Team Capital. Luke Stone, his teammate, right up there in P2 at the moment. The only man who's really bringing any kind of challenge to Ryan Spann currently. Then it's Shane Attard. Great to have Shane Attard back in Asta Racing. Good to see him back in the colours. He's driven for the team ever since it was introduced as Scarborough Motorsport. And we've seen him jump in that yellow car. So Shane Attard, for me, is a name that reminds me of the colour yellow, which is, of course, the Scarborough Motorsport colours. Now, Asta Racing in 9th place at the moment. Then it is Graham Splint. He's come in for another round of repairs, another fresh set of tyres, and another tank of fuel in 10th place, and then his teammate Aussie Heat in 11th. Bear in mind, 10th and 11th right now, they're both out of sequence in terms of their strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And just CP Motorsports rounding up the rear, 11th, 10th and 11th place. So Aussie Heat, I was actually surprised because he was running quite high in that first stint, and now he just seems to have dropped off. Same with Shane Attard. So we saw Aussie Heat and Shane Attard in that early stages of the race, battling pretty hard, but now they've just dropped down. So a couple of mistakes, a little bit of mistakes between those two drivers, hopefully to get themselves back up towards the pointy end, towards the end of the race. But just over 30 minutes gone, just under an hour to go of the race, and we have Ryan Spann and Luke Stone running position 1 and 2. And you can see the pace difference there between the two tyre compounds. Ryan Spann on the racing soft tyres and Luke Stone on the hards. 2 minute 15.5 was the fastest lap set. Was the last lap set by Luke Stone, whilst we have a 2 minute 13 flat, so well over 2 seconds faster than the man in the Team Capital entry in second position. So Ryan Spann just holding on very nicely there, just running the pace that he needs to do, running the numbers. You can see the consistency that he's running. 2 minute 13s, a lot of 2 minute 12 laps, and then a low 2 minute 13. So he's doing a really good job to run this car to a number, try to get it to about lap 16, potentially stretch it out to lap 17. And he's going to be flying high on this last set of tires that he has to put on that Mia Cougar 119. He's doing a really good job as well, and keep the car clean. The car looks very settled, and as we know, since Old Topless and Tokyo, Mia Cougar driver development, their cars look really good with the tuning setup, and these guys have really done that homework. That supercomputer is working perfectly around this track here at Mount Panorama.
Yep, there's the hours invested, and at the moment, Mia Cougar are doing the work. They've got the 3 trophies on the side of the car, 3 season victories in the past, and they're looking to add a 4th at the end of this season, currently on track for that. And the tyre wear, very, very good for Ryan Spann, but more critically, the fuel consumption, absolutely brilliant. I think he's going till 18, Nick. I think he's going to put in another couple of laps after this one, do a 9-9 split. If we think about it, it'll probably be about 38, maybe 39 laps total for an hour-and-a-half race, just given what it looks like here. Well, no, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 44 in fact, but all depends a little bit on the pit stops and the length and the number of pit stops we're going to see at the end of this race. A couple of scrappy moments for Ryan Spann as he navigates back and up the hill. And Luke Stone has come in. He's run out of fuel already, so he pitted early. Back on lap 7. Now he finds himself on lap 15, needing to make another pit stop. And there's the difference right there. You're staying out and saving fuel just that little bit extra. Gives you a little bit of a longer pit stop sometimes if you're extending these stints. But what it does mean is that you've got a longer stint to deal with. So maybe avoiding an extra pit stop towards the end of this race. Pfaff and Joinson go through. It is lap 16 as we see Chris Farapapa and Dabzito make their way into the pits. That puts Spark, the second Mia Cougar driver, now up into 4th place in this race. The tapestry of strategy well and truly coming unstitched, as it does in these endurance formats with all these mandatory tyres required throughout the race. We're gonna find ourselves trying to figure out how it's gonna weave back together through the next 45 minutes, and then we'll see what happens right towards the end of this race. Anything can still happen, and I think the key question now is how does the strategy get executed? Obviously, as we figured out in the TCR Cup, soft stints are absolutely paramount, and the softs are actually lasting as well as the fuel is. Because of these high-speed zones, there's a lot of fuel usage around a track like Bathurst, and the soft tyres are actually lasting the full stint, no problem at all. So you want to be running as many soft stints in this race as possible. And what do you do at the end? Do you do a take a what would have been a half tank of fuel, jump onto the hards, take out another half tank, and jump onto the mediums and get your requirements done at the end of the race, maybe?
That could potentially be the strategy that the Me Cooke boys are looking for because they have some great pace on the on the soft tires rather, and they're doing a really good job to actually hold on to the tire life, and they're getting towards the end of the tank around about 8 to 9 laps on the soft tires, as we see with Spark, for example, teammate to Ryan Span, who has now come into the pit lane up in position one, surrendering that lead. We can see with Spark as well. Like, so he's also doing his homework and working close quarters with the Me Cougar boys and thinking to himself that, what Ando and what Ryan Span can do, I can most certainly try and match that and try and get the car up as high as I can because he's running to a number. Nick Pfaff, Matthew Joynson are running a completely different strategy. Nick Pfaff has already used his hards and mediums, George. So he's now clear to the end. He's going full softs for the rest of the race. So he's going to be he's going to be lightning fast when it comes to that. When it comes to those set of tires, Matthew Johnson goes out for another lap. So this is an interesting set of scenario here for Matthew Johnson to go one extra lap here on the racing medium tires. Now takes the lead of the 90-minute enduro for round three for the Mercury Walch TCR Cup. Doing a really good job to actually to be able to maintain that fuel to go for that extra lap. So very interesting strategy. This could become very crucial towards the end of the race for him to potentially get himself on a podium.
Yeah, it's the underrated fuel saving. Honestly, it does make a big difference, and maybe you're not able to attack as much, but we've already found out TCR is going to be about the strategy execution as well as your car setup. And if you get the car setup right, oh, there's a little bit of paint exchanged with the barrier there. But if you get your fuel strategy absolutely bang on, that is where you're going to start to really bring in the time. Another scrap with the barrier. So medium tires not providing as much grip as maybe Joynson is hoping. Certainly at this point, he's going to have just enough fuel to creep across the line. We'll keep an eye. I expect this will be a zero fuel once he gets to the end. Still got to get down the rest of the hill and through that very high speed section before the braking zone into chase. So he's got a long way to go. Not a lot of fuel to do it with. Ryan Span has come back out racing softs again. No surprise there. And the thing is, like, yes, I agree with you. Nick Pfaff will be fast towards the end of this race. He'll be able to run softs for the remaining time, but has he, by taking full fuel and doing a full stint on the hards and the mediums, has he fundamentally lost overall race time? And I think he may well have. And this will kind of, we'll see what the other teams are thinking towards the end of this race, those that haven't run the mediums and the hards so far. But I get the feeling that a shorter, low fuel stint on those tires is going to be the optimum strategy today, even if it costs you an extra pit stop. Or maybe
Yeah,
you take
absolutely.
a full tank on the mediums and come in and switch tires onto the hards.
Yeah, absolutely. And but the thing is, you don't want to be doing too many pit stops for to put too much fuel in the car. So, like you said, potentially it's just a splash and dash finish on the racing hard tires or racing mediums. But if we look at the mini map there, Luke Stone is so far behind Ryan Span. He's now on the racing mediums. Now, I have a feeling he's used his racing mediums before. Didn't he not use that in the first stint? I believe he used. Can't remember.
Um,
We'll have to.
I think at the
So
start of the race it was racing hards versus. Was he on the hards? No, he wasn't on the hards. He was on the medium. So he's got. You're right. I think you're right, Nick.
Yeah, so this could be a double stint on the media. Maybe we'll have to. Maybe someone can let us know in the chat if you are watching this live, watching our premiere stream here on TrackSpot TV, and be able to rewind and let us know. Because I wish we could go back in time, George, so we could know what's going on. But we've got a race here, and it's a fantastic race. We're about 40 minutes clocked over now. Ryan Span, Luke Stone, and Nick Pfaff are our top three with Graham Splint right up down in P4, a recovery drive for Graham Swin. Fingers crossed he'll be able to get himself a nice clean stint here with no damage on the car. Chase cannot be getting any more bills coming next to his name after the end of this race.
Yeah, there's no such thing as unlimited money in sim racing. Well, actually, I think technically speaking, in reality, that's actually technically wrong. It all comes down to how much you've spent on the home loan or the mortgage you need to get to buy all the sim racing gear that most of us use these days. That's the real question. Chris Pautasso has come out behind Matthew Joynson, who's just come out of the pit lane. So fresh racing softs for Matthew Joynson. I don't think this has been an overtake through strategy, but he's at least be able to retain his position ahead of Chris Pautasso. Just needs to get these racing softs up to temperature, get them into the right groove, and try and avoid any kind of attack through the top of the mountain. Let's hope that Chris Pautasso is thinking a bit more sensible than an attempt to make a move, whether it's Frog Hollow or any of these corners up here. We've seen that attempt before. He's had a couple of thoughts about it and decided better of it, but it's good psychological pressure sometimes, you know, just tempt the move into Skyline and just show the nose, and the other driver goes, what on earth are you thinking? You are completely mad, and and I tell you what, we're going to have to do something about that and drive a bit faster. That's usually the right response. Either way, Matthew Joynson starting to make a little bit of a gap here, and that's going to be beneficial for his race. Able to save a bunch of fuel, stayed out an extra lap, finds himself out there for a full fuel run from lap 18 onward. I can't stop thinking about it, Nick. If I was in this race, I'd be running racing softs with full tanks of fuel all the way through until that last stop, do a splash and dash. I really think that that's going to be the right strategy, but time will tell. We are now coming up towards the half race distance, 3 minutes until that marker, 45 minutes through on a 90-minute race. So far, some interesting strategies being executed today. All the tyres mandatory, of course, means you can't avoid that inevitable conversation. Feel the limiting factor at Bathurst. Spark comes out of the pits. He's on the same strategy execution as Spanny, who's currently in the lead by some margin. Then it's Zito for Lightning Motorsport in P8. Aussie Heat with very worn soft tyres and at least another couple of laps to go with that fuel tank. Decides better of it. He's coming into the pits, and he will get himself fueled up. So those racing soft tyres really, really suffering on the CP Motorsports car. Tricky pit entry here as well. Haven't seen anyone get it wrong so far, but we shall see.
Yeah, obviously, if you do get it wrong, you are ending up in that sand trap right there, and getting yourself back into the pit lane, it actually resets you back onto the track. So if you go even onto the gravel trap and you want to try and get the car back in the pits, you're better off just going straight ahead. You may as well just do another lap, and if you are on a low tank of fuel, then that's just going to be a lonely race. And what I'm seeing here is just a fuel tank fill up here for Aussie Heat. So I wonder what's happened here. Did he not come in for a tire change? Because like all I just saw was the car just coming in with an empty tank of fuel, and looks like it's just a bit of a splash. Did they forget to fill up the car?
No, I think what's happened is it may have just temporarily glitched or something like that, but he definitely has changed tyres. 100%.
Okay.
We'll wait till he comes out of the pits, but I think we'll see. Let's just double check. Yes. Okay. So he is in on fresh tyres. Yeah, because I'll tell you the state of the
that caught me by surprise there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna feel like there's been a few moments throughout our seasons in the TCR Cup where drivers are just double clicking the X button and they just forget about the fuel. They change the tires and then they completely forget about the fuel going in the car, and it's just an accidental double click on the X button, and they must have been thinking, oh man, completely forgot about that, and they're just trundling around on fuel map 6 for one lap, and it's one of the most painful laps that you can do on Gran Turismo, is just putting that car on fuel map 6. And with a car like this that is, you know, very fast, it's going pretty fast down Conrod Straight, but at the same time putting on fuel map 6, it is just a long lap. If we can see the pit cycles around about 2:34, 2:49 as your out lap, imagine what it is on fuel map 6.
Yeah, exactly, and we have seen that. Not necessarily the fuel map 6 all the time. I think we might have seen that once or twice during GD3 Champs last year, which I believe you and I were both commentating on the GD3 Champs 2024. And I think we did see that. I think it might have been that Autopolis race with all the rain that really threw the curveball to people. And yeah, there's a few people that definitely made a few little mistakes in the pit lane. On entry as well, in fact. It wasn't Autopolis, it was Mount Fuji when it was raining. I think that might have been one of the opening rounds, but you're absolutely right. There's never has there been a sim race where someone hasn't made a disastrous mistake or two. I've certainly had my own fair share. Paramount of all, or the worst one that I've had was having my headset run out of battery, and of course my teammate couldn't hear anything that I was saying. I was trying to give him, tell him what I was needing and what I was doing. Couldn't do so. So I got a drive-through for track limits. Jumped into the pit lane, took my foot off the accelerator, jumped out of my sim rig, tripped, fell. Things went everywhere, drinks went everywhere. As I scrambled to find 2 more batteries, the car slowly veered over to the right-hand side, bounced off the pit lane, went to the left, bounced off it again, bounced off the right, crashed head-on into the barrier at the end of the road. Eventually I got back in the sim rig, turned off the car by accident, had to turn it back on, trundled all the way through the pit lane, and had to come in the pits next lap anyway. So we've all made these mistakes, Nick, at the end of the day. Some more hilarious than others.
Absolutely, and that's why you've been relegated. That's why you've been demoted to the commentary booth. That's
That's
why.
exactly right. That's exactly
I
right.
believe. Now they're gonna. Now I wonder if all our viewers are going to be hearing that story. And just note to yourself, anytime you need a driver, just think about George Cook's story there, and just let him know if you want someone reliable, you can look at me. If you want something reliable, you want a DS4 controller, speed, just give me a call, and I'll be able to hook you up there on a fast DS4 controller. So I'll be your man for the duty. But what I'm noticing there, just going back to the racing that we saw there, Luke Stone in P2, Nick Pfaff is catching Luke Stone very quickly at a rate of knots there. I won't be surprised if he starts setting fastest laps and start being on par with Ryan Spann. As we see Luke Stone coming up to Griffin's Bend right now onto the entry and exit. Nick Pfaff is right there. And this strategy is actually coming back to him. And he's now on the back end of Luke Stone, who is on the racing medium tyres, who we think has done a double stint on the racing mediums. And Nick Pfaff has now got a soft finish towards the end of this race. So this is going to play in great hands for the reigning champion.
Big time. He's at least a second a lap faster right now than Luke Stone. 13s for the last 3 laps in a row, so the pace is really consistent. He knows this track very well, of course, as do most of us here in the Oceanic region. But certainly the racing soft tyres providing him that grip. He's suffered on the hards, he's suffered on the mediums, and he had a lot of pace actually on those hard tyres, and now he's really showing what he can do. Finally looks like he's got this car dialed in. First couple of races in the TCR Cup have not gone his way by any margin at all, and still not really necessarily showing enough pace to be up there with where me Cooke have put themselves on the grid. But we shall see. One small mistake can change all of that, of course. But the Racing Softs and Nick Pfaff combination looking very, very strong right now. And yeah, once you see that car ahead of you, you go, right, now I can really dial in. Now I can really make the effort. And the medium tyres for Luke Stone, he won't be regretting it, but this is evidence as well that he is going to have to go for it at the end of this race.
Yeah, absolutely, and this has to be the last stint that he goes on the racing mediums. If he sees Nick Pfaff in his rearview mirrors, he's going to think he's made a bit of a strategy blunder, jumping on a racing medium tyres. So we'll wait and see what happens in the next stint. Surely it has to be a set of soft tyres, and we're going to have a nice battle there between Luke Stone and Nick Pfaff, so two veterans of MotorMotion E-Series, and having a nice little duking battle. And they are sister teams as well, with Team Castrol, with Team Capital, as well as Asta Racing. So the two of them linking horns kind of reminds you of what we see in the V8 supercar world, where you have drivers. We have a BJR four car operations. So I wonder if it's going to be team games between these guys, or if it's just going to be clean racing, go for it, just don't take each other out.
Well, I mean, if anyone can accidentally take out a me Cougar car, I'm sure they'll take the opportunity. Not that I'm condoning any kind of such behaviour, and certainly it's not a situation like Red Bull, that's for sure, where the teammates are all scrapping over contracts as opposed to scrapping out on track, because none of them are anywhere near each other in terms of pace. So very different scenarios here in the TCR Cup, and we are at this stage of the race where things are cooling down a little bit. So we've got Spark, Roberts, the replacement driver at me Cougar, still handling P6 very nicely. Got Tuxedo, still just holding on at the moment, making a little bit of progress there. Chris Vardapapa kind of fell off the pace a bit here, unfortunately. I don't know quite what's happened with the pace, and he's not really taking the lines that you'd expect.
He was on the back end of Matthew Johnson when he came out the pit lane, but look at his lap times. He's really struggling for pace. 2 minutes 16 flat, 2 minute 15. So two sets of 2 minute 15. Sorry, three sets of 2 minute 15, and he's on the racing soft tires. So something is not right aboard that 35 Loctite entry.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, it could be a hardware thing. At the end of the day, it could be. I don't know if he's got kids or a family, but maybe the kids are. Maybe the cat's jumped up onto his lap and he's now wrestling to get this get a cat off his lap or something like that. Something has happened to his pace because he's all over the road. He's not taking the appropriate line. He's missing his braking zones. And that personal best, the 2:14.6, is unindicative of a pace that we've seen from him earlier on in this race. I think he's one of the ones we did see fuel saving, though, Nick. So maybe this is the fuel save strategy. Maybe he's trying to eke his way into one less pit stop in this race.
Yeah, definitely. But we saw that with Matthew Johnson. He went longer with an extra lap on the last stint, and he's actually ahead of Papa. So he's actually benefiting himself as now Papa actually comes into the pit lane. So trying to shake off what he's had on that previous lap with a 2 minute 16, and says, you know what, I think I just need to come in to the pit lane, refresh my mind, have a big sip of water, rethink about how am I going to do this next stint, and just go for it again. Because yeah, very surprising pace of why he would be so down on pace compared to Matthew Johnson and Nick Pfaff, who was having a really nice battle in the early stages of this race.
Too right. Let's see what happens. Nick Pfaff continuing his charge against Luke Stone and making a lot of progress here. Another consistent 13 with 13.4, so he's slightly slipping off that earlier pace in the last couple of laps. Luke Stone, in the meantime, on the racing mediums, hovering quite nicely and more consistently in that high 14s, but it's still costing him nearly a second a lap at the moment to Nick Pfaff, and of course fuel is now becoming a concern for him. He was in the pit stop very, very early in this race, and there's a couple of laps delta right now with that pit stop strategy.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's actually losing time to Nick Pfaff. So as you picked up there, you can just see him. He's the car of the reigning champion has gotten a lot bigger on the rearview mirror of Luke Stone's 53 Castrol Racing entry. So definitely going to come into the pit lane, Luke Stone. He was one of the early pit stop. So this is potentially gonna could potentially impact him towards the end of the race, potentially doing one more pit stop or putting more fuel in his car. It might not be the same. It might not be an extra pit stop, George. It just might be the fact that the fuel might be a little bit more going on board that 53 compared to the number one. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's a hard call to say. I mean, he's come in, he's got full fuel, so he's going out again, racing softs. Now got Graham Splint, formerly third in this race, started fourth. And I'm still interested to see how Graham Splint and Aussie Heat can actually bring this one back towards CP Motorsports. They started in such a good position, but the crashes, the extra time of the pit stops costing them massively in this race. And at the moment, if Chris Farahpapa's pace doesn't improve, I mean, this might be quite an easy overtake for Graham Splint, which is what he'll be hoping for, as he runs very deep into the dipper, and that's cost him a bunch of time. He's on the hard tire, and he's relatively low fuel here, but I think this still probably indicates that he took a full tank. Haven't seen anyone yet execute my predicted strategy of jumping onto half fuel for at least some stint, or maybe the plan for Blue Dog is to try and get to half distance and then pit and jump on another tire. Dubzito in the pits as well, but yeah, at the moment it's the Ryan Spann show.
Absolutely. If there's no Ando Scott, there's a Ryan Spann. So, and if it's not Ryan Spann, it's someone in the Me Cougar car that's going to be pulling their weight above and beyond. So Ryan Spann doing a fantastic job with the 119 entry. Me Cougar driver development going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Be very keen to see what he does for strategy. I think if he's on lap 24, he's going to go for another 8 laps. On another set of soft tires, and then he's going to get one more splash of fuel, and like you said, potentially just going to throw on mediums, and then probably a 1 lap dash on the hard tires. So it could work out in his favour, Ryan Spann, but we'll find out in due time as he starts to run wide there. So early signs of mistake there, but it could be just a sign that the tires are giving up on him. And you know what? When you get dirt on your tires at the chase there, it does make the pit entry a lot harder.
Yep, exactly. We're straight into a left-hander. You've got to bleed off a lot of speed for it anyway, but just the braking itself, and you can find the car starting to squiggle. Not the smoothest of entries. It's an FIA Grade 3 track here at Bathurst, so it's never going to host a Formula One event. We'll probably never host a Le Mans style event. Of course, hosting the GT3 cars, and even when you watch those guys go through this track, you can see them bouncing up and down and having a raucous time out on track. Faf's going to come in as well, so 7 litres of fuel still left on board for Ryan Spann. Now, these stints have been about 17, 18 minutes, Nick, so this is going to put him, if I do my math correctly here, about 17 minutes to go for that final stint. And of course, he does still need to use the mediums and the hard tyres. The question is he, since he's got 2 stints left, is he going to use that alternative tyre now, or is he going to use the softs again like you predicted, which I think is probably going to be the case, and then try and split up that last part into 2 stops? And will Luke Stone's strategy be able to countermand that? That's going to be the question. Safe softs again. There we go.
Yep, there you go. So he's definitely doing the strategy, coming into the pit lane until the end of this stint, and then throw on some mediums and hards to finish. That looks to be the strategy. But we saw there between Ryan Spann and Luke Stone, who was sitting P2, the gap was absolutely massive between Ryan Spann and Luke Stone. We're looking at around about anywhere between about 15 to 20 seconds gap between Ryan Spann and Luke Stone. It's a very similar-esque of the pace that we saw with the Max Verstappen in 2023, just blasting the field with a fast car, and that's what Ryan Spann has got. But they are coming out side by side, Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone. Here we go. Nick Pfaff coming out of the pit lane. Luke Stone just getting ahead of Nick Pfaff as they goes towards Griffin's Bend. Both drivers on the soft tyres. Can Nick Pfaff go for the inside move? He shows the nose. Ooh, that was very close there. Warm, just cold tyres for Nick Pfaff. He couldn't get the car pulled up, and he had to go extra hard on the brakes. A little bit of a lock-up potentially on the Honda Civic Asta Racing car number 1, and just has to sit back and tuck behind. But this has benefited so much for Nick Pfaff in this stint. He's now on the rear end of Luke Stone's 53 Team Castrol.
This is great stuff, and yeah, Nick Pfaff has put himself up into this position. He's lost time, but he held up a lot of his competitors when he was on the slow strategy, on the hard tyres, on the medium tyres, slowing up his competitors at the beginning of this race. That strategy seems to have come back and started working very, very nicely. Has a moment into Skyline. Car didn't want to have anything of it. The car gets loose, of course, and their rear end needs to grip as much as possible. That's why these drivers often favor just dropping the car's angle just a little bit to force the nose into the ground. Of course, it does have the unfortunate consequence sometimes of lifting up the rear a little bit more, so a bit of downforce here is important. You can't run 0 downforce across the top of the hill, otherwise you will be having a very, very bad time at some point in the race. Indicator is on for Luke Stone ahead. Maybe there's a bit of team orders going on here. He's just telling Nick Pfaff that he's going to be holding that outside line. Nick Pfaff's going to go right round him, has the overspeed, has the slipstream, and there you go. That's an overtake and a move now up into technically P2, but P3 at the moment on the board. So Nick Pfaff on a charge, and yeah, this has come back, worked beautifully for Nick Pfaff. I mean, he's done enough in those soft stints to bring himself into the area that Luke Stone was operating in, both of them about 20, 30 seconds behind Ryan Spann. But the fact that, I'm trying to remember here, I think it was Luke Stone that started second on the grid. Do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was. So this is a huge shot. This is a very important moment for Nick Pfaff and his race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was about to say they're very gentlemanly like by Luke Stone just to let Nick Pfaff through. Obviously, they are within the same camp of each other, but you know, I was expecting a bit more of a battle, George. I mean, it's just like I know they're teammates. I'm thinking, come on, you know, we are deep into the race. You would think Luke Stone has fought very hard to keep that P2, and obviously keeping onto the rear end of Ryan Spann in the opening stages of this race, but then dropping off as he had a bit of a poor choice with some tyre strategies not going his way, sadly, and then coming now behind Nick Pfaff. So it really hasn't worked out for Luke Stone, sadly, and it has worked out massively for Nick Pfaff because he has gained a position on track and looks like he could be holding on to P2 if Luke Stone doesn't come up with an answer to try and attack Nick Pfaff in the next few laps.
Yep, Luke Stone becoming the proverbial martyr and accepting the stone, so to speak, and Pfaff not wanting to faff around. So the Asta Racing / Team Capital camp not mucking around with this one. They don't want to be interfering with each other's strategy. A little bit of a scrape on the wall by Nick Pfaff. Got to keep that tidy through there, but so difficult to do so, and the car's rear end gets loose. You drop down the hill, you're in a braking zone. Fronts get loaded up massively, and the car's rear end just wants to go sideways. A very tricky braking zone to go into in any condition. That is Matthew Joynson now in the pits on low fuel, low soft tyres. Really used the tyres this stint. He knows he's in a battle with these two. He knows that he can be involved in the battle for the top three for the podium today. And of course, he will come up behind these guys by all accounts. They're just coming through the chase, following on now to Murray's corner, which they will navigate in short order. Tyres now going on for Joynson. Ryan Spann now leading the race yet again, and coming through the pit straight now is Pfaff and Stone. Fuel going in for Joynson, and behind them it is Chris Farapapa, who by all accounts hasn't found additional pace, but he hasn't got anyone challenging him on track as it stands right now. Racing softs for this man. Then it is racing softs for the Meet Cougar reserve driver today, Dubzito in P7. Remember, this is a big event, ladies and gentlemen. Half an hour to go. Double points available today. Qualifying still only gives you two. Two drivers in the top three only gives you two. Looks like at the moment the only team, there's no teams in fact that will have a chance to do that today. Joynson's come out. He's going through the straight, and he's a fair way back. I'm just wondering about the alternative nature of the strategy. I think he's going to end up with a small short stint at the end because he extended.
But I have a question for you here, George. It's less than 30 minutes to go. Apologies there. And he's got a full tank of fuel, fresh set of soft tyres. We know how great he is with the fuel saving. Could this potentially be a run to the finish for Matthew Joynson? I'm just trying to think of my numbers here. If we're looking at about 9 laps and we're looking at about a 2-minute lap, it'll be tough. I don't think he'll be able to get that, unfortunately. But I think you're right there. It is going to be a short stint on the final lap, but you can see how far back he is behind the likes of Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone. He's lost so much time in that pit lane. But there has to be something going on in the Yugen Global that is trying to put a bit of a plan to maybe, just maybe, if he drives slow enough, not too slow that he loses time to the drivers in Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone, that he's slow enough to maybe make this stop work and run to the end of the finish of this race. Watch this space with the 777.
I agree. I'm just thinking, I mean, Nick Pfaff has been the one who's been out there for a little bit. So is Luke Stone. They're on quite a substantial fuel deficit compared to Joynson. Joynson could be going for a very short fuel stop, a splash and dash at the end, and really sending it. And it might save him time because these other guys have got to pit again. They've got to get another full tank of fuel. They've got to sit in there for, what is that, 3 liters a second times 33. It's a long refueling time. So that, they need to sit there for at least 30 seconds. He's got that gap, and if he can get that down to, say, a 10-second fuel stop, he's just saved 23 seconds in this race, and it might be enough to bridge this gap. I mean, I think, judging by on track, I suspect that's probably within 23 seconds right now. I think Joynson could be on for this. Maybe not, making it to the end on this, but he's certainly got to come in for the pits one more time. But every litre of fuel he saves right now is going to buy him time. Yep. The question is going to be, really, can he drive fast enough and save fuel at the same time?
And I think another dilemma as well, George, if we're thinking about this, Joynson may not change tyres. That will save him 4 or 5 seconds in the pit lane as well. If he wants to save more time, don't change your tyres, just put the fuel in and just go for it. You might be on low grip, yes, but if you want track position and if you want to fight for the podium, you may as well just go throw your eggs into one basket and just go for it.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, he was using those softs very, very hard on the softs. Let's just put it that way. We saw it when he came in for that pit stop, so he didn't have a lot of life left in them. After a big moment, does get the car recovered, and he will go again. He's pushing at this stage. I think he's using full fuel. I think he's going hammer and tong right now. I think this is going to be an 18-minute stint. Look at the way he's driving this car. No regard for safety or for the barriers that he's got around him. He knows he's got to make up time. He knows the competitors ahead of him got to make another full fuel pit stop. And if he's done enough to save, time is key, and he's going for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all that fuel saving that he's done, well, I just want to see what he's got there. He's not even actually getting to the end of the bar. So if we look up on his gear ratios there, yeah, you can see there, there's no revs, there's no red lights on the shifter. So he's still fuel saving, George. And I think he's thinking about what we're talking about here in the commentary box. Potentially just fuel saving, get a short splash and dash, maybe change tires, maybe not change tires. This is gonna really spice up the battle for P2 if Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone are keeping an eye on Matthew Johnson down in P4. They have to look at that mini-map. They have to see that triangle coming past Murray's corner for to conclude his 28th lap and start the 29th lap of this 90-minute enduro here at MotorMotion E-Series. They have to keep an eye on it because they're coming up towards Griffins right now, and Johnson's is coming up to is approaching Hell Corner and exiting Hell Corner up Mountain Straight. So you're looking at around about, I would say, looking at that minimap, you're looking at around about 12 seconds between Luke Stone and Matthew Johnson.
I mean, I think this is why we're seeing him throw the car around over the top of the hill. If you're going to be saving fuel and losing speed on the straight, there's only one place you can really make it up, and that's by launching it into the corners, really leaning on the tires. It's why he had such little tire life at the end of his last stint, I should say. And he's doing the same again. So this is where he's got to make up the time. He's got to make up whatever time he's losing in those straights, which could be, it could be a second that he's losing in those straights from doing the fuel saving. We'll check when the other two go down the main straight, Luke Johnson and Nick Pfaff. They're just coming up to that now. Let's see if these guys are sort of doing a little bit of fuel saving. They are, but not as much. They're going to half revs, or Nick Pfaff certainly is. Let's have a little look at Luke Stone's car. What is he doing? He's in full fuel saving mode. So the person who's going to be the defense for these guys is going to be Luke Stone, if anyone.
Yeah, and I think as well, because remember Luke Stone was one of the first drivers that came into the pit lane at the end of the first stint. So he actually came in at an awkward time when everyone else went an extra lap or two compared to him. So yeah, I think he's really starting to think of now that he needs to get to the window to be able to throw on a set of softs and a full tank of fuel to finish this race. But he feels that if he keeps going half revs or even more past half revs on that car, there's a potential that he might not make it on that last stint, George. He'll have to go extra fuel saving mode on that last stint, and that's what you don't want to do. You may as well suffer the pain now to have potential reward towards the end of the race.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating last 23 minutes, or 22 minutes, I should say, of the race. Around the corner of Murray's corner, I should say, for Joynson, and then into Hell Corner once again. Chris Varapapa in 5th place. Then it's Spark. That's Roberts in the 24 car for Cooke on the racing soft tyres, executing the same strategy as his teammate today, Ryan Spann, the only full-time driver for Cooke on the track today. Then it's Dubzito, Lightning Motorsport in P7, Shane Attar P8, P9 for Hogan at the moment. And then, unfortunately, we do have, we've got some news actually just coming through in the commentary box here. Looks like Aussie Heat has had to retire the car today for whatever reason. He is no longer on the lobby, and unfortunate for Aussie Heat. He's clearly had a bit of a disaster today, as has the whole of CP Motorsports in general. But Aussie Heat gone. So the only CP Motorsports car now on the grid is Graham Splint, who started in 4th place, has found himself last, Nick. And he's on the medium tyre. He'll have to fuel up again. I don't think it's getting much better for him.
Unfortunately, the day has just gone from bad to worse for Graham Splint at the highs of qualifying. We saw this in round 1, George. We saw this with Rusty Nuts Racing's Craig Harcourt and his teammate, Sam Robertson. Both had great qualifying performances, but just in the race, they were just completely nowhere. So whilst you have a car that's set up for qualifying, the race is a different story, and it's a 90-minute enduro. It's not a sprint race. It's not the 45 minutes that we normally run. It is a full 90-minute race. So the car is definitely not looking to be a car set up for the 90 minutes. Plus, you have to add the factors that he had a couple of incidents in those first 2 stints, damaging the front left and the front right and the front splitter twice. So it's just been a up and down day for Graham Splint, and unfortunately for him, down in last place is not what he was hoping towards, not what he was hoping for at the end of this race.
Certainly not. And yeah, he'll take some learnings away from today, I'm absolutely sure. CP Motorsports guys got plenty of talent in that outfit. Just need to leverage it and really start to understand how this TCR Cup works. I think we did have CP Motorsports in the previous season, season 3 of TCR. I don't think they were here for season 2 though. Trying to recall, because we had last season we had the mix of cars. We had the Suzukis, the Meganes, the Renault, all the different Group 4 cars. And the
Yes.
series beforehand, we
I'll
were just in the Renault Meganes, were we not?
Yeah, I'll interrupt. I'll let you know that in season 2, the CP Motorsports won the drivers' championship with Dan Wood
Ah,
in the
too right.
'66 Suzuki Swift. So they do have experience and they do have quality in that camp. But obviously, with the likes of Graham Splint and Aussie Heat, obviously two developing drivers here at MotorMotion E Series, still a bit of a learning curve for them. Plus the tuning side and the tuning factor with these cars, they're not Group 4 road cars that we're normally used to, as well, George. It's all about the full tuning, and a lot of drivers might not have a lot of time during the week as well, so that's why they may have to rely on maybe a co-partnership with another team in the sport there. Oh, just gets it loose there in Murray's corner. That's twice in a row that he's done that. So the rear end is not happy with his driving style. He's catching up to Hogs down in P9. So he's actually catching a little bit to the man in P9, the 97 Team Capital entry. But yeah, it's just the fact that when you don't have the time to commit to a tune or to a setup, it really hampers you throughout the race as well. As we can see there, with the likes of the team capitals, Nick Pfaff, Luke Stone, they are well behind of Gridline Racing, uh, Me Cougar Driver Development. They've got a long way to go to try and catch up to those top two teams.
Yeah, I mean, being constructors champion in TCR is a massive experience. We've got some critical things happening up the top of the grid. We'll get to that in a few moments' time, but I think the key to Mikuga's success has been that the hours invested, the practice done. And, TCR at the end of the day, it seems like an innocent little series, these little Group 4 cars going around the tracks and all that, but it's anything but innocent. It's very, very complicated, very, very strategic. You get into the bopped Group 3 cars, it's a very different scenario where they're all much, much closer together, even if they're on slightly different strategies. But in the TCR Cup, it's always been this way. For 4 seasons, it's a very complicated affair. The tuning adds even another layer to that. And some teams will take just a little bit to get used to that, get a bit familiar with it. Either way, we have some racing updates as Luke Stone has jumped into the pits. That elevates Joinson to third. Let's check the distance there. Looks like the distance has grown ever so slightly, I would say, just by judging the mini-map at the moment. But for Nick Pfaff, he'll be coming into his pit stop probably this lap. Luke Stone has gone for full fuel and racing softs. No surprise there at all. And the question's going to be how much fuel has been saved throughout this race for Joinson to get this done. He hasn't got enough to get to the end, Nick. That's becoming abundantly clear now. But this last stint is going to be quite a literal splash and dash.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just needs to look at that timer and he just needs to think, how many laps of fuel do I need to put in? Should I be putting in 5 laps, 6 laps, 7 laps? As soon as, because he knows he's been saving so much fuel, because we also know that when it comes to the fuel stop in Gran Turismo 7, there's a little diamond at the top of the icon when you are filling the car up. Where if you have been doing a lot of fuel saving and short shifting with your car, wherever that diamond is, it is an absolute lie. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, because what you have to do is, if you want to go, full pedal, full throttle throughout the whole round the track, use up the revs and use the top end of the Honda Civic, you actually have to add more to the car, because then if you actually run that same number, you look at the fuel gauge, that it could say 5 laps to go on this stint for Matthew Joinson, or 3 laps to go till the end of this stint for Matthew Joinson. But then when you do the exact same thing, it could say 2.5 laps to 2.4 laps, and you're thinking, what? How did I lose zero point 0.6 of fuel in this stint? And you think to yourself, that's right, been revving the car out a little bit too much, and when you do that, it's hard to recover the fuel back. That's when you're in a world of pain, and that's when the racing becomes a little bit more challenging for the driver that has over thought about the fuel number.
Yep. Don't trust the computer. It's a HAL version computer that
Unless
they've
it's a Meat
installed.
Cougar.
Unless it's a Meat Cougar, in which case, well, yeah, this supercomputer thing's a bit of a myth, in my opinion. I think they've got a couple of very good brains in there, human real brains, and I think that's probably where a lot of the action truly does happen. Either way, the HAL computer certainly being the one installed into GT7 in terms of those fuel calculations, it can't predict what you're going to do in the car. So you've got to know. This is why it's a knowledge game, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also have to bear in mind Ryan Spann is yet to run the racing mediums and the hard tires. So he has to do 2 more stops, George. So 2 more stops, but one's going to be a tire stop only. The other one's going to be tires and fuel. Let's see what he does first. If he's going to put on the hards or if he's going to put on the mediums.
Hards first by the looks of it, and full fuel for this last 14 minutes of the race. And yeah, he'll have to switch over to that. He's revving the car out to full now, I would imagine. Doesn't need to worry too much about fuel. He's well within that 18 lap mark, and right there, even the greats can fall to the change in grip level between these tires. It is a totally different car to drive on the hard tires.
Oh, absolutely. It is just ice. And if you were Nick Pfaff on lap 1, he could say, I can relate to you. I can relate to how you're feeling in that car right now. Ryan Spann has no idea about these conditions. He has no knowledge about the racing hard tires. He has no knowledge on how it acts on a fuel tank. Running deep at Forest Elbow there. Also, he has a juicy battle here for P for the last positions here on track today. 10 drivers with unfortunately a disconnect from Aussie Heat. Graham Splint is now getting back up onto Hogues' rear bumper. It's going to make the move stick going into turn 1 through Hell Corner. Nicely done there for Graham Splint, and that demotes Hogues down to 10th and last place. Sadly, Ryan Spann is now back in the pit lane, getting off those hard tyres and throwing on a set of mediums to finish his stint.
Very smart, yeah. Spend the absolute minimum amount of time possible on these hard tyres, get it back into the pits, get them switched out. The critical thing is, where is Nick Pfaff and Luke Stone? Pfaff is actually coming through Murray's Bend. There go the tyres. He's come straight back out, but Pfaff, of course, is on the racing soft tyres. He's got Hell Corner to navigate, racing mediums for Spann. So it's a lot closer, and you can see that, actually, technically speaking, that big gap that Ryan Spann's had has not really been it hasn't really been showing itself what the true gap has been all the way through this, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the gap. It's a lot closer than you would think. Nothing that I think that Nick Pfaff can do in the remaining part of this race with only 12 minutes to go to really catch back up, but just goes to show. Luke Stone started second, Pfaff third. Pfaff is now holding on to second overall. The question's going to be, where's Luke Stone? He's coming through Griffins right now, and then it's just Joinson. So Joinson's going through the top of the hill, and he'll likely be into the pits either this lap or next lap. I'd probably encourage him to get off of those tyres as soon as possible if he's got any chance of getting a good, fast last lap, and he needs to put the fuel in as well. Where are these two? Yeah, they're just coming down the hill now. This is going to be really tight for Joinson. I don't know if he's done enough to counteract the speed that Pfaff has had in the latter half of this race.
Yeah, it's going to be very close between Joinson. It definitely won't be close to Pfaff. It's just going to be keeping an eye on him between him and Luke Stone. I think it's going to be the battle for P3. Nick Pfaff looks like he has sealed P2, all bearing any mistakes that he does make within the last 11 minutes of this race. But Nick Pfaff is a lot closer to Ryan Spann in P2. And you have to remember as well, there is a pace difference between the mediums and the soft tyres. We're looking at around about a second and a bit faster compared to the softs. But you've got, what are we looking at the clock? We're looking at about potentially 5 more laps to go till the end of the race. I'm not so sure between the gap between Ryan Spann and Nick Pfaff is 5 seconds, but we know Nick Pfaff. That's why he's a champion for a reason. He throws the car to the absolute limit. He wants to go for the fastest lap. He wants to push the car to its absolute limit. We'll see what this lap time does, because this will be his first representative lap time that he gets on these racing softs to finish this stint, as he runs wide on just getting onto the dirt at Murray's Corner. Coming to the start finish rate 2 minute 13. Point 2. We're going to keep an eye on that number. As
We are having a little bit of cutout on Nick's mic at the moment. We'll give him a minute to try and rejig some stuff on that side. I think the point that he was making is a 2-minute 13.2, so it's not necessarily the pace that he's going to need. It's an outlap of a 2:16.5 there for Span. They're not too far separated on track, but keep a very close eye. This is set to change. But really, Nick Pfaff needs to be more towards the low 12s if he's going to have any chance. He can use the fuel at this point, though. Use the fuel, use the tyres, go ham. You've got nothing to really lose at this stage, unless you're settling for P2, in which case play it safe. Otherwise, push and see what you can do. See where you can put yourself. So the next lap for Span is going to be very, very interesting to see. Luke Stone's running in the 14s, nearly the 15s at the moment, whereas Jointson is running in the 14s. He has to come
on
to
the
the
last lap. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very impressive last lap too.
Well, and on those softs, I mean, look at those softs right now. They're gone.
Yep. So he's going to come into the pit lane right now. Fresh set of tyres. And if I was him, I'd be looking at around about potentially 4-5 laps of fuel. And we can see Luke Stone is coming past the dipper and about to approach Forest Elbow right now. I feel like it's going to be close, George, between Luke Stone and Matthew Joynson, because we've got to remember Matthew Joynson is going to be able to go full send on the car. He can go full throttle. He can go to the revs. He can absolutely rev the car out as much as he wants, but he has to keep an eye on that fuel. That he doesn't want to underfuel the car, because as we pointed out earlier, underfueling that car, do not trust the diamond on GT7, ladies and gentlemen. Do not trust what that diamond tells you. You have to put more in the car.
The voice of Andrew Scott, our former pit lane reporter, now co-coms here at TrackSpot TV, his voice is ringing in my head, and he's saying to me that the power band is also maybe obfuscating a little bit of it. You're going to get power band at different parts of the car depending on the parts that you're putting in. So this will all depend as well. Luke Stone coming around the corner. Pfaff and Span have already cleared him. How much fuel is required by Jointson? It's 30 litres. It's going to be more. It is going to be more. And I think Luke Stone's going to easily be ahead at this stage. Nearly half a tank of fuel for Jointson. This is critical in this race. You can see Luke Stone up ahead of him, who's running half a tank as well. So it's even Stevens, and Joynson's on the racing hard tyre. So he didn't complete his mandatory hard tyre. We thought he'd be on the soft at the end. So that takes all of our theories and throws it all to the wind. I don't think there's any way for Jointson to now catch up. That is exactly the opposite. I thought we saw him do a hard stint, but he didn't.
That's what I thought too. This is really just, we literally just jumped off our seats here at the commentary booth, thinking we were just hoping that Matthew Joyson was going to go for a fast stint on a racing set of soft tyres, but he's on the hard tyres. I don't recall it, George. I don't recall him jumping on a hard tyre. Now is the time for him to jump on a hard tyre, and he has to do a lot of laps. What we saw with Ryan Spann, he only did 1 lap, George, on the hard tyres. Matthew Joynson has to do he has to do 4 laps on these tyres. He's got a gap between himself and Farid Papa in P5, but man. Wow, this has absolutely stumped me.
I'm quite shocked at the end of the day, but again, another learning moment for us in the commentary box, for some of you at home, and also I think for the drivers and the teams. And the big brain move. We said this earlier on. You take the hardest tyre compound you're given and you spend as little time as possible on it. We see Ryan Spann executing that philosophy to perfection. He's on the mediums to the end of the race now, and not really in too much jeopardy either, but you need to maximize that soft tire time. At the end of the day, 4 laps on a hard tire, you're going to lose at least 4 or 5 seconds in this race, and that's 4 or 5 seconds that you need to be gaining in the opposite direction. You need to be gaining 4 or 5 seconds on your competitor, and had he been on the softs at this stage, it would have meant that he would have been slower at some other point. But yeah, I think what Ryan Spann's done has been absolutely spot on. 1 lap on the hard tyres, throw them out, jump on the mediums on a tank of fuel, and go to the end. So I think we're both quite shocked in the commentary box right now, and gutted as well for Matthew Joynson and Eugen, who were set for a real showdown at the end of this race. At the moment, Ryan Spann, Nick Pfaff, and Luke Stone are going to be the ones finishing in the top podium positions, as we do see quite the battle happening down here. Former battle, I should say. Dubzido tries to defend the position against no one into Murray's as Spark comes in, and this will be to get onto a mandatory tyre.
Yeah, that looks to be a strategic error for the developmental driver in Me Cooke driver development. The substitute driver for Ando Scott coming to the pits. This is very interesting here. I'll be keen to see what the pit crew do in the pit lane right now. What tires if they're actually going to change the tires. The graphic shows that they're changing tires, but is that the case? Yes, it is. So we'll just wait and see what they do. He's come out the pit lane now. He's
On
just bottled on another set of soft racing hard tires. There we go. He's now switched over to
okay.
racing hards. So again, the same as Matthew Johnson, just was completely missed out on the racing hard tires. The strategy didn't work for him because he was in a nice battle there, George, with the Lightning Motorsport boys, with Fada Papa losing time to his teammate Michael Brill in position 6 in Dub Zeta, so there might be a position change between the two teammates before the end of this race, potentially, with Michael Brill being a lot faster at this current stage than his teammate in 5th.
Yeah, overtones of Matthew Johnson's race right there for Roberts in the Me Cougar car, reserving today, of course, in place of Andrew Scott. He got stuck in Perth. Thank you very much, Perth and Sydney weather. Either way, good opportunity for Roberts to get out on track and learn a few things, that's for sure. And I'm sure he'll be dialed up in future as a reserve throughout the MotorMotion E-Series TCR Cup. But yeah, sort of overtones of what happened to Matthew Johnson. There's big penalty for Chris Papa. 3 seconds. He's going to serve that immediately, and Dubzito is going to come flying past at 230 kilometers an hour. And that is a move for the Lightning Motorsports man directly up into P5. He'll be stoked with that. I mean, a little bit of a shame that it's his teammate, of course, that has suffered that penalty. So it must have been on the pit lane. He must have made a bit of a mistake.
One of the harshest penalties you can get here on Gran Turismo 7 is cutting the dipper, and I believe that's where he picked it up. So he must have taken too much entry speed into the dipper. Must have gone all 4 wheels over that white line. And yeah, that's where. And then remember, the track penalties are on strong as well, George. So that's where it's definitely where he must have picked it up in those corners, because he didn't come into the pit lane. He's still got the same tires. He's still got the same fuel on the car. It's just that dipper. It's the Gran Turismo logic telling us that it is a corner cut. But if they watch the real world racing, it is actually not a corner cut. You can take that car all four wheels over the curb, and you don't really lose time at all. You gain time, but it's the fastest way around the track.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the entry angle at the end of the day, isn't it? Most cars take a very shallow line in, which really just you kind of just by default only drop a couple of tires because the car's already lurching out to the right. But yeah, if you take a slightly tighter angle, which in some games, I mean, I play ACC quite a bit, and in that game, you do want to launch the car onto the right-hand side before opening up the dipper, so you can get back on the power as the rear end bottoms out. You've got to time it absolutely perfectly, or the rear end gets loose and starts to bounce and does all sorts of stuff. So you try and open it up, and you want to drop all 4 tires across the inside white line. And if you don't do that, you're not quick. But in a game like Gran Turismo, it is one of those situations where you need to be a bit aware of that. And yeah, strong penalties, 3 seconds, cost him a position. Technically speaking, though, doesn't cost the team any points. Does just cost Papa a little bit in terms of this race. And this is now the final lap of Bathurst for this 90-minute endurance round. Round 3, Lobby 1. We won't be bringing you any Lobby 2 coverage, although I've been told there might be a clip of something coming our way, because there's a bit of a battle going on in Lobby 2 at the moment. So we'll see if we can get a clip of that towards the end of this. We will cover the results of Lobby 2, qualifying and the final race results. But next time we go for an Enduro, it will, of course, be the other way around. Lobby 2 will be the focus, and Lobby 1, if there are any highlights, we shall show you them. At the moment, all I can say is get your hands ready for a round of applause for Ryan Spann, who's been unmatched today.
Absolutely faultless in qualifying, got a clean start. Definitely got the start that he wanted on the car. Nice positioning when it comes to the pit lane. All those soft tires that he's able to use and able to burn up. The Me Cougar boys said, here you go, here's X amount of soft tires, use them, go like crazy. And he's the only man that set the fastest lap as well, so he's going to be getting the most points out of everyone here tonight. Fastest lap, pole position, and potentially the race win.
At this stage, we have to say it's almost a certainty. He's got one bit of blue flag traffic to get past, and there's the timer. It's now an hour and a half elapsed. Final lap of this race. Ryan Spann potentially taking home at this stage at least 102 points, double points round today, so it's 50 for a win in the normal rounds, 100 today. And Ryan Spann has done the work, he's put in the practice, and he's got himself around Bathurst for an hour and a half without a major accident, as we see the blue flag car taking some extreme avoiding action. Doesn't want to get involved in the final couple of little bits of this track, final 100 meters or so in this race. Ryan Spann for Cooke, the 119 car. There's the checkered flag, across the line he goes, and 39 laps later, it is Ryan Spann, flash of the lights, he's a happy man. And Ryan Spann will take that beautiful trophy for today and elevate his team further towards another Constructors' Championship and maybe, just maybe, a Drivers' Championship for himself. We shall see. Faf, valiant effort today. That strategy, we thought it was all over at the beginning of this race, but he has fought back beautifully. Second place for him. Then Luke Stone, that's your podium. Matthew Joinson, well, we're speechless then, we're speechless now. That's just the way things go. Time for us to jump over to the results. We'll be back with you in a moment's time. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Results up on your screen. 102 points for the Cooke driver Ryan Spann, followed by Nick Pfaff, Astor Racing, 92 points. Then it's Luke Stone, Matthew Joinson, Michael Brill, and Chris Farapapa. Two Lightning Motorsports people in the top six, Nick. It's been actually a very, very good round for Lightning Motorsport.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to give him some good confidence there. As we saw towards the end there, Michael Brill did get past Farapapa due to Farapapa getting that 3-second penalty, cutting through the dipper. But Michael Brill was a little bit quiet throughout the whole race, and just all of a sudden towards the end of the race, pops up in P5, gets bags of good sack of points along with his teammate in Farapapa, 5th and 6th. It can definitely help him out in the team's championship, because you have to look as well. Cooke has one car in position 1. Obviously, the reserve drivers don't score points for the team's championship, so that's going to definitely cost them a little bit of points. Astor Racing down there in P2 and P3. Yukon Global only had one entry tonight. CP Motorsports only had one entry to finish this 90-minute race. So Lightning Motorsports, depending how the other lobby goes in Lobby 2, are going to be seeing themselves quite high up in this, quite high up in the team's championship.
And of course, we'll cover the final results from round 3, show you where everything stands at the end of the broadcast. Let's talk driver of the day. Those of you in chat, do let us know who's done the best today. Who do you think deserves your vote? For me, Nick, I would have honestly been giving this to Matthew Joinson. But I mean, I still don't have words for what happened there. Obviously, he needed to get onto the mandatory tyre. But that unfortunately kind of blew up the potential of the podium finish today for Yukon Global. So unfortunate for them. I think I'm going to have to go with Nick Pfaff today. Started off on the hard tyre, tried to be a bottleneck, succeeded, drove like absolute crazy at the end of this race on the soft tyre. Nearly caught Ryan Spann. Impressive drive today from Nick Pfaff, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely one of Nick Pfaff's stronger performances here in Season 4 of the TCR Cup here at MotorMotion E-Series. But for my driver of the day, I'm just gonna give it to the man that's just dominated the whole weekend, dominated the whole night. Pole position, fastest lap, easy victor of the race there. No many major mistakes I saw from Ryan Spann. And what I did note as well, George, between on that last stint with the tyres, with Ryan Spann on medium tyres and Nick Pfaff on the softs, what I noticed there, that the lap times were very, very identical, that they were pretty much the exact same thing. While Nick Pfaff was holding on to 2-minute 13s on soft tyres, Ryan Spann was running on 2-minute 13s on medium tyres. So that just shows, that just shows you how much pace that Cooke 119 had today, and that is the reason why I'm giving Ryan Spann my driver of the day.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very impressive pace from Ryan Spann, and I thought we were going to see a lot more pace from Nick Pfaff on the racing soft tyres, but it just didn't happen. You know, at the end of a reasonably long race, 90 minutes is no small thing. You're going to be tired, you're going to be feeling that exhaustion, and Sometimes it's just it's difficult to put in those really quick laps. We know that 2:11.9 was put in very early to try and help Ryan escape the clutches of Luke Stone, who at the time was in second place. Nonetheless, great overall race from Lobby 1. Congratulations to the top three there. Now we can actually move on ever so slightly to some results for you from Lobby 2. And I have been told we did have a photo finish at the end of Lobby 2, which is going to be great to see. So let's just check in now with our Split 2, our Lobby 2 results. And it looks like this: Scott Taylor, Mark Pacheco, Marcel Albertin, and Lyle Rensburg are your top four in this case. And the qualifying time is relatively close. Not quite as quick as what we saw in Lobby 1. But I tell you what, pretty close there. And here we go. We're going to show you a highlight from round 3 in Lobby 2, which has just come across our desk. Well, take about Lobby 2. I get the feeling there, Nick, and you'll probably confirm this as well there, that this, that looked to me like a little bit of a photo op more than a photo finish. So might have to talk to Scott Taylor about that one. Either way, very close race clearly between the Gridline Racing chaps. Nice to see Mark Pacheco up there on the podium. Campbell Knowles P3, so obviously a good race for him for Team 55. Mitch Gray, Marcel Albertin, and Troy Britnell. So didn't go Albertin's way today for Black Rose Racing, but Troy Britnell and Campbell Knowles both in top 6, and a double points finish there, of course, for Scott Taylor and Mark Pacheco. So that's 2 extra points today for Gridline Racing. And I think that means that we might have a little bit of a change up in the team standings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a great to see Gridline Racing getting that 1-2. Very reminding of the 1977 Bathurst 1000 race, where we saw Alan Moffat and Colin Bond running 1 and 2 over the start finish line, just going along Conrod Straight, double file, the two of them just waving the flags, for the forward flags, over the top of the hill, down the mountain, and over the start finish line. Very reminiscent. So well done to the Gridline boys for reenacting that, but it just showed they just truly had some strong pace in Lobby 2. And as we mentioned in Lobby 1, the Gridline and Me Cougar are the teams rather, that we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout the rest of this championship, and it could be very close in this team championship battle.
Certainly could be. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our coverage of round 3, season 4 of the Mercury Walch TCR Cup here at MotorMotion E-Series. A pleasure, as always, to bring you the broadcasting and commentary. TrackSpot TV, go and check us out, www.trackspot.tv. Massive thanks to our Mercury Walch sponsors. Check them out, www.mercurywalch.com.au. And of course, our glorious leaders in MotorMotion E-Series, www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com. You can find almost all of us on Discord, on Facebook, and of course on YouTube, where you're watching right now. Big thanks to our co-commentator today, Nick Pautasso. Thanks again, mate. It's one of those special combinations. Tokyo and TCR is one of our favorites. Bathurst and TCR might be the top combination that we enjoy commentating on. But thanks to you today for your co-commentary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say a big congratulations to our race victors tonight. Ryan Spann, total dominance there, and then Gridline Racing getting that 1-2 over the start finish line. But I'm really looking forward to the remainder of these rounds. I really am excited to see the Me Cougar and Gridline boys in a lobby yet again, because as we saw in Tokyo, how dominant Me Cougar was. And then this one, we saw that with Gridline Racing tweaking up their package a little bit just to produce that 1-2 finish. Imagine if we can see them in the lobby one more time to find their true pace, because I have a feeling that between those two teams, it is anyone's battle for that team's championship. And potentially with Ryan Spann having some good points next to his name, and with his teammate, faster, experienced teammate in Ando Scott, the veteran of MotorMotion E-Series, away this round, He's got a lot of catching up to do, George, and he's going to need a whole lot of luck come his way before season's end here for season 4.
Fantastic. So we'll round out by running through the final standings from the round. Big thanks to you all for listening into this commentary, and we'll join you in a second over in the results screen. So we'll see you there in a short period of time. Well, fantastic stuff in round 3 at Bathurst. Here's the driver standings as they are, and that is not the that is the previous standings. This is how they look now. It is Ryan Spann on top. Of course, a huge amount of points to his name. He's on 198 now for me, Cougar. Leading only, though, by 2 points is Scott Taylor. Continues his run of great form and a race victory, of course, in Lobby 2 to his name. And the double points round is absolutely massive. Nick Pfaff, Mark Pacheco, Campbell Knowles, and Luke Stone all battling it out still and within spitting distance of that top 2 spots. In P7 down, it is Jointson, Brill, Farapapa, Rensburg, Britnell, and Attard rounding out your 12 driver standings. Over in the team's title, and it is a switch-up, Gridline Racing, with both their drivers getting across the finish line and an extra couple of 2 points to their name, 376 points, and now well ahead of Me Cougar Driver Development in P2 on 334. Asta Racing nipping at their heels with Lightning Motorsport 2 points behind, equal 314 points with Team 55 and Team Capital right there in the battle as well. This is going to be an excellent next few rounds to see where these teams land. That is Hassel 1 Motorsport, Mad Turtle Racing, Rusty Nuts Racing, Yugen Global, CP Motorsports, and Black Rose Racing on 99 points. Going to be an exciting round coming up next time because we do move over to the wonderful Interlagos circuit, and we will have both Lobby 1 and Lobby 2 coverage for you next week on the same time, same place, same channels here on the YouTube for MotorMotion E-Series and TrackSpot TV. Massive thanks, of course, to our primary sponsor, Mercury Walch. Please check them out for all your digital printing, commercial printing, mail, labeling, formatting and packaging. Check them out, www.mercurywalch.com.au. And a big thanks to MotorMotion E-Series for putting on the TCR Cup in 2025 Season 4. Today it's been myself, George Cooke, and Nick Pautasso in the commentary box. TrackSpot TV, the official broadcasting partner of MotorMotion E-Series. Pleasure to bring you today's coverage once again. That is going to be what we have for you tonight. Tune in next week where the racing continues. We head to the Autodromo de Interlagos for round 4. See you then.